we always think that April is the most beautiful season. So here is the first April 1st. It's a time to show the landscape of spring and let's enjoy the flowers. And Dunhuang always in the strategic important location. So in the ancient time, here is the most important site and is the place before. It's a very remote place. But right now you see the full of people here. There's over 5,000 or 500 hectares of apricot. So today I will show you how we can enjoy exactly the apricot. For the flowers, we always think they are the same, but how we can identify the which species it belongs to, I will show you more later. And right now we are at the Dunhuang city, which also remarks the Silk Road spirit. So with China's reform and opening up, how the Silk Road spirit can further encourage us to further develop our civilization. I will also invite the special guests here to talk more with us in these details. And for Dunhuang City, and especially right now, is the Apricot Flower Festival. How the festival helps the rural residents or the local residents to increase their resources of income. So apricot here, we can see nearby is a village. Let's look at the village called the Crescent Spring Village. So this is very near to the Mingsha mountain. So we show you the very big and magnificent scene of the mountain, but like the soft part under the mountain is a beautiful apricot flower. So you can see the very hard stuff with a very soft flower. This is a very great combination of the nature. Let me show you some details, the footage. Okay, welcome back. We talk about the April. It's always the most beautiful thing here, and especially in the ancient time, it's a perfect timing for people to going outside to hang out with friends and enjoy the flowers. So here at the festival, you can see people with traditional costume and with traditional instruments. We also have a lot of campaign activities going on here. If our viewers, if anything you can think about, please leave your marks with us to express your understanding of Dunhuang city or the apricot flower. Let's give you a close shot of the apricot flower. We talk about apricot that's called the Guang apricot, and we'll show you more about why it's named as Guang apricot. Let me first introduce our special guest, Mr. Liu. And would you please tour with us together and show us more about the knowledge about the apricot, especially as we have little knowledge about the flowers. Please let us know how to identify and enjoy the flower. Just now we show you the aerial footage. So it look from far it's like pink, but here actually we see a lot of white flowers. So during this time of the season, actually it's coming to the end of the life cycle of the apricot flower. And so the flowering season is quite short, just around 7 to 10 days. So just come to the end of the life cycle. Later on, we will see a lot of fruits. So the color of the apricot is white and pink. From the footage, we can see up in the air is more like a pink color. But we see the size of the apricot is quite smaller. So it's every small pieces of the flowers come together. It's the big blossom scene. So it gives you the very different view from up in the air or just stand very close to it. So for the petal, it's pink. And for the calyx, it's white. That's why it looks white and pink. It smells a little bit, but it's not really strong. We can see the fruits. Some of the fruits are ready. So without any natural disasters, actually the fruit is with a very high yield. In order to increase the quality, we also will do a lot of work to improve the quality of the fruit. Right now we are at the Mingsha mountain. It's a little bit special because here is the impact by the sandstorm. So just a couple days ago, we experienced the bad weather. It's also impact to the apricot, especially apricot fruits. So the polluted weather bring the negative impact to the fruit. So the big wind and the sandstorm will decrease the yield of apricot. As bad as decreases 32% of the yield. So right now, at our altitude of Gansu is around 38 to 40 degrees. So the temperate fruit is different from others. It's widely distributed in Gansu province. But talk about the quality, the best quality is produced. Here is the Crescent Spring Village. So the Mingsha Mountain County, because quite near to the mountain, so maybe a little bit impact by the sand or wind, but anything positive? Positive impacts. The mountain absorbs the heat daytime, but in the evening it releases the heat. So this is something very special for this region. So during the evening and overnight, the temperature is quite high, so it's really good for the apricot flower to increase the quality of the fruit. That's why we can say here have the best quality fruit. So if we pay a visit here during the night or in the evening, we can feel warmer, right? Yes. It's warmer than other village. You can feel it very easily. So as closer to the Mingsha mountain, you can feel it's warmer. So Li Guang apricot, we want to know why it's a general called Li Guang. So how does it have the name as a Li Guang apricot? The story is like this. We want to the fast speed development of the agriculture and the culture together. So we talk about the general during their a war or a battle to expand the territory. So Li Guang, the general Li Guang, lead a troop here in Dunhuang, and they experienced the bitter and sweeter apricot. So that's a little bit of story behind. So we would like to call it the Li Guang apricot to give a more meaningful content. So not only related to the agriculture, but also related to the cultural heritage. So in 2016, apricot is identified as the icon fruit by the National Bureau.
So this means you can only taste this kind of apricots in this region of its unique features. And also we understand that in this area we have a very special geological situation. We know that in other regions they have different kinds of flowers. For example, the peach blossoms and pear blossoms. So for those flowers, it's a very small one. However, when we look at a growth of the flowers, you can see it just looks like a rosy clouds. But how do you differentiate the apricot flower from the other kind of flowers? For apricot trees, peach trees, all of these kinds are in the same category. For the flower itself, for the apricot flower, you can tell the differences from its color. It's pink and white. But for the peach blossom, it's a little bit golden and looks nicer than the apricot flower. And for the plum blossom, it's white and the petal is much smaller than the other kind of flowers. So we can see the color is different, and also for the flower season is quite different. Apricot flower bloom first. Later on is the plum flowers. So some of the flowers, they will bloom first and then grow the leaves, just as the apricot flower. But for plum flower, it's the opposite. So we can differentiate this kind of flowers, first of all, by color and also by the floral season. So today is the first Apricot Flower Festival, and we see many visitors here. They're taking photos and enjoying the beautiful scenery of spring. And we also understand that in Wuhan University, they also have a cherry blossom festival. And one man actually shake the tree in order to get more petals. This is not very good. So we want to remind our visitors, be gentle to the trees. So please don't shake the trees in order to get more flowers. Because at this time, the apricot is generating fruits. If you're shaking the tree, it will damage the fruit of the apricot trees. So again, do not shake the trees. We can see a lot of visitors here. They are taking photos. And in this area, we also see other agriculture items grown in this area, in addition to the apricot trees. So please be careful. For some time, we do see people not pay attention to the environment. For example, when they appreciate the rape flower, they will step onto the field. This is not very good for the ecosystem. We want to be civilized. We don't want to shake the trees to affect the growing of these trees. And also, when you enjoy the springtime, pay attention to your food. Do not step on other agricultural products, vegetables. Especially when you are going into a rape flower field, do not step onto the field of the rape flowers. And I remember one of my colleagues said that they want to take a very nice photo with those flowers. They'll actually catch one of the branch and pull it down. It is also not very good for the trees. So we have to be civilized person. Do not hurt the tree. Do not pull those branches of the tree. And we know there were many branches of the apricot trees, and actually it's very dangerous if you pull some of the branches. Be careful. And also, we see some of the visitors, they just like break the branches and take back home. Well, but very few people did that. After all, the flower of the apricot is not as good as the peach blossom, so people will not want to break one of the branch. And for some of the flowers, when they're in crowds, you will see a beautiful scenery of them. And some people may say that this kind of apricot flower growth is like a large crowd of rosy crowds. So let me interview where you're coming from. We came from Beijing. Did you visit here every year? Yes. Let's see your photos. You can see it, very beautiful scenery of the apricot trees and the flowers. Also, I can see a lot of photos about your grandson. Very cute. So did you pay a special visit here? No, we don't usually go here. And also this place a little bit remote from the city center. You can see the color of the apricot flower, pink and white. It's quite different from the plum trees and the peach trees. Also, you can see some people are playing ancient instruments in the grove, and some people are painting in this area. For ancient people, when they came out to enjoy the flowers on a spring outing, sometimes they enjoy playing these ancient instruments. So let's appreciate this beautiful melody of the instrument. And for the apricot trees, some of them are of different varieties, so the floral season will be a bit different. For some of the trees, it is as old as 60-year-old. It's an old tree. And some of the branches are quite vulnerable. That's why their floral season came late compared to other trees. Currently, it is actually the good season to appreciate the flowers. So for this flower, it's actually like a peak stage or later stage of the floral season. And for example, this one, you can see the petal is quite large, meaning that it will easily grow fruits. So in 1920s, we introduced this kind of李广 apricot. And we developed different varieties of the apricot. We have like small李广 apricot, a large李广 apricot, and the large李广 apricot has the best quality. But for the shelf life for the apricot is quite short, right? Yes. And for the harvest season is in June and July, and we start to sell these apricots during that time. For李广 apricot is a unique fruit. So last year, we sold apricot through e-commerce, and we sell them to over 30 cities in China. In the past, we have this traditional model to sell these apricots. We deal with distributors and agents and then sell to the customers. So there will be a big time lag. But now we're using a different model to sell the apricot. We're using the e-commerce to sell the e-commerce directly, to sell the apricot directly to the consumers. Now we are selling this to the northeast, Chongqing, Beijing, Wuhan, Shanghai. Major big cities in China can buy李广 apricot. So among all the agricultural products,李广 apricot got the best sales. So for the plantation area for the apricot is around 500 hectares, and the estimated productivity of this apricot is around 80 million RMB.
所以敦煌给当时是作为丝绸之路上的一颗明珠，汉武帝这时候设这个。
So for Dunhuang, it's a very important place for the ancient Silk Road. So for these girls, you can see they're wearing ancient clothes. So is it the ancient clothes from the Han Dynasty? Right. Let's continue our tour.
所以呢，在一个地方游玩，其实还是真的是要做一个文明的游客。刚才给大家说的是一个是赏花的一个该注意的一些事情。
So we want to be a civilized visitor. For example, when we appreciate the flowers, do not hurt the trees and the flowers. And another thing, we have to abide by the policy of this region. So for this area, it's a specialized conserved area. Some people will put the unmanned aerial equipment, the drone, to shoot some footages, but actually it is not prohibited. We have to get those footages from those aerial photography. It's a specialized technique, and we need to get special approval to do it. And for Dunhuang, the plantation is over 500 hectares with the productivity of 80 million RMB. In the past, the farmers and workers here have to grow the trees very diligently, but now you can see a vast land of the apricot flower grove. And we have another special guest here, Mr. Ji, the Young Pass Director Research Center. So in the past, some poets also write some poems to describe this area. For example, the Young Pass poem, showing that the poet is sending his friends for a long journey, and they also pass this Yang Pass region to say goodbye to his friend. And later, Yang Guan become a symbol for this area to farewell their friends. Actually, Yang Pass and the Yumen Pass are very important areas for Dunhuang city. And Dunhuang has some significant meaning in China. At that time, Dunhuang is in charge of 6 different counties, and these 2 passes are quite specialized.
So during the route of the Hexi corridor, we can see at the history, we have a lot of historic spots. Right now we mention these names, we always feel the very rich historic meaning. So the Yang Pass, the Yumen Pass, is all very important. For Hexi region, we can say that here is a lot of the people location. So here is the really based on a natural pattern. So people live nearby the lake, they make a living from the lake. So we build up the nomadic people. So a lot of the names like Dunhuang or the others is always historic stories. So Mr. Ji, So live here for many
鸣沙山下面的这个杏花
years.
园来讲，
So talk about the Mingsha Mountain, especially here is the Apricot Grove.
现在可能大家的这个从向下看地。
So before, the villagers just really focus on the planting the seed, make a living from the land. They only make their heads down to look at the ground. But right now, we change our way of living or way of production. People more and more enjoying the beautiful scene, the beautiful flowers, right? For Dunhuang City,
它周围是大漠戈壁，这儿呢又是一个
is actually will create the green scenery among the desert.
戈壁绿。所以这儿
So
就是我们现在正在鸣沙山下进行李
Welcome
杏
back.
花节的新媒体直播。
Right now we
那
are
呢就是刚才大家给大家介绍的
at the Gansu province, and we bring you to the live about the Apricot Flower Festival. And we have our special guest here from the museum. As a Dunhuang city, usually we consider as the pearl in the desert and an important spot along the route of Silk Road. Especially after China initiated the Belt and Road Initiative, I believe that also brings the new meaning and historic change to the Dunhuang city, because the Belt and Road Initiative is not only focusing on China, it's also involved the people from around the world. So it's a very good call in the agricultural and cultural perspectives. So we have this a flower festival, and we also have other special summits are held here. So that's also in turn promote the industries, especially the tourism and the cultural heritage in Dunhuang city as well as in Gansu province. So that help us to increase the infrastructure construction, so bring more convenience to the people. We have the different events to attract tourists from home and abroad that help to increase the famous of Dunhuang province. So by having this cultural fair, we also attract the different cultural organizations coming to Dunhuang province to showcase and exchange, as well as doing trade in the cultural industry. That's help us to understand more and further promote the cultural heritage of Dunhuang city. So the Belt and Road Initiative really bring the energy to Dunhuang in terms of economic and social development. So for today, the Apricot Flower Festival actually come to the third festival, right? The government mentioned we will have the ongoing cultural fair. So ongoing means a long-term mechanism. So every year we will have the highlight event. We also have the side events. So different events, activities, as well as summits will attract further tourists and the people coming to the Dunhuang city and help us to promote Dunhuang cultural events and cultural resources. So help to increase the income of the local residents here. So that help us to always maintain Dunhuang in the peak season in terms of tourism. For young generation, before they only maybe sit in the classroom and practice the instrument, but here it's like they play the instruments outside under the beautiful apricot tree, and hope they can have a slight taste of the ancient time when the ancient people, they enjoy the flowers well. They playing instruments, or making poems, or the calligraphy, or even do the painting. Before, maybe the well-educated people did that, but right now, we would like to pick the best season and the best scenery, and let our young generations to really enjoy it and understand more about the nature, about themselves, and give them a new feeling of playing instruments, which is totally different from playing the instrument inside the room. So for the festival, here is help us to promote the knowledge of the food and cuisine. And we always know that here is a very important place to exchange the result from West and East. So we believe a lot of food is also introduced from the outside world, right? It's a very important place to exchange. Yes, that's the feature of Dunhuang City and the China Silk Road. So this is the route, we call it the gate, opening to the outside world. For Dunhuang, it's also the gate, where we call it a custom, linking like Shanghai or other places in China and open to the outside world. So everything, they will first make their first stop at Dunhuang City. So this is the route of trade. It's also the key important bridge of culture exchange. With the Silk Road connectivity, bring the good communication between East and West, we can see the very rich culture and material exchange. Like the glasses, or the peppers, or watermelon, the carrots, the camels, lions. All these, as I mentioned, that actually all first introduced from the Western regions. It's not only the one-way pass, it's the mutual or the at least bilateral exchange. A lot of our own products also brought to the outside world, like the silk, the textiles, the fairs, a lot of the cutting-edge technologies, the printings, the paper-making technologies, traditional Chinese medicines. All these through the Dunhuang and the Silk Road to the outside world.
And we also pass some of the spiritual assets to the Western. This is how we say a bilateral communication from China to the world. One of the features is that some of the items passed here, we have a special name for them. So a special kind of culture is actually passed from the desert. So all of these items probably they have the character of a lake. Because sometimes we pass some of the culture and the assets from the ocean or lake area into the desert. So for some of the people living in the lake area, we call them lakers. So also representing the direction how we communicate the culture and other assets. In the past, we watched some documentary, and we always consider for Dunhuang, it's like a desert area. But now we can see, now we have a very different view. It's a change of age and history right now. In early Han Dynasty, in the Hexi corridor, it looks quite different from right now. At that time, there were many wars happening in that area. And later we also have some domestic wars. For example, from the south and the north dynasties. However, we have to understand the key of the Silk Road culture, which is to advocate the peace. For the ancient Silk Road, the spirit is inclusive and the friendly coexistence. If we do not have this kind of culture, we cannot have a peaceful environment. It's a people-to-people exchange. So the key spirit of Dunhuang is also in line with the Silk Road spirit, that is to advocate inclusiveness and friendship. And now we can see there's a different view right now. It's actually a achievement from the reform and opening up of China, and Dunhuang become a tourist site for the world. And for all of the living habits and the nature of Dunhuang is quite different from the past. For example, for the food in Dunhuang, you can see all kinds of food in China and around the world here. And we always see this splendid spring scenery in Dunhuang, and people are coming out from their home to enjoy the flowers on a spring outing. And they gather together to celebrate the magnificent time of spring. And of course, the Liguang Apricot Festival is a manifest of this kind of spirit. And this year is the 40th year of reform and opening up of China. And for the Dunhuang spirit, we have some keywords for that: the opening up, inclusive, and peace. All of these key words comprises of the key spirit of Dunhuang city. For the Silk Road spirit, it actually creates the spirit for the Dunhuang city. And we can see all kinds of different cultures integrated in Dunhuang city. In this area, we have a specialized painting, calligraphy, cultural heritage, etc. So all of these assets are not just materialized. We also have some spiritual traditions here. And we also have different kinds of religions integrated here. Each one of the religion represents one kind of spirit. It is an inclusive culture, and in this area also respect the tradition from other regions. In such an inclusive environment, Dunhuang also embrace all kinds of traditions from other regions or countries. So Dunhuang actually demonstrates the openness and the friendship from other countries. Dunhuang is also a manifestation of the development of ancient China. So, thank you for your introduction and explanation of the Dunhuang culture and the spirit. Dunhuang as a pro of the Silk Road it also have a very deep meaning for modern society. Let's go back to the Apricot Flower Festival. In this area, it used to be very close to the Mingshan mountain.
系列的去发展这个乡村旅游。
包括像这些。
We also want to boost the tourism in the rural area. So actually, we mobilize all of the resources to boost the tourism.
丰富一些真的表演，在那边呢还有茶艺，咱们还有象棋比赛，那么咱们还有配套的有这个手机这个随意拍的这个活动，还有咱们这个徒步活动、骑行活动等等表演，在那边呢还有应该是。
We can see the instrument performance and also have some chess games competition. And we also have a mobile selfie competition and other cultural activities. We have 12 kinds of activities here in this festival. So for visitors and residents here, it is a very attractive event. And in the morning when I came here, we can see some of the villagers there attending this event. And some of them, they really want to maintain a clean environment for their residents. So we want to showcase this area to the world, to China, and also how to improve the living standards for the residents here. And they advocate a low-carbon lifestyle. And you can see a group of people are cycling here. Are they going to cycle around this apricot grove? Yes. They will cycling around this park. It's actually a tourist path. They can enjoy the sightseeing and also do some exercise. Some of the people are coming from this local area and some of them travel from other regions. So you are coming from the Axis, right? Yes. So how long is your hometown from here? Around 80 kilometers. I actually cycled here. And of course I took buses yesterday because there were very strong wind. And on your left side is the Mingsha Mountain, and then here is the Apricot Flower Park. How do you feel? I can better relax and practice myself. I'm from Dunhuang, but I work in another city. So actually when I work here, I cycle every day. So it's a very healthy way. Yes, I can do the exercise and also feel very refreshing and feel confidence after and start practicing this exercise. So can you see the differences in this area? Yes. 2 years ago, this place is totally a mess, but now it's getting much better. Maybe in the local area, because of the thriving of the tourism, and some of the area are cleaned up and tidy up, it looks much beautiful right now. And earlier, the President Xi also proposed the concept of rural revitalization. That's why people are all spare no efforts to build the rural area a better place. And you can see more and more people start to live here. In the past, very few people would like to cycle to this area, but now we can see a large group of people who would like to do exercise in this area. This is actually a low carbon activity. And you can see all of the people, they look much better than before. They're more stronger and healthier.
All these kind of activities actually will also promote a new way of living. It's in a low carbon and green manner.
在那边还有一个徒步，
So right now you can see
过程中呢，它就是一边
the environmental protection
一边呢还
cycling event is about to start. So they have the cycling events. We also have hiking events. So during their hiking journey, they can enjoy the beautiful scenery and they also can clean the road. Just now we interviewed one participant. Actually, we also can feel their passion of loving their homeland. And before, maybe we did a lot of camel riding. And they right now also help people to increase their mentality or awareness of building and protecting their beautiful homeland. So we not only do a good image to the outside world, we also help to increase people's well-being. So let them live in a beautiful place to increase their environment. So the lucid mountain and lush water are the invaluable assets. We not have the same scenery as the set in the Yangtze River. But here is like we want to create the joint efforts to make our homeland beautiful and more attractive. So we actually motivate the local residents to take their actions. And right now we can see the government actually mobilize the resources and to better educate the public to understand more about the knowledge of apricot. So we also package word to commercialize our event
比如说，那么
to change the way of living of the rural residents. Before they only did a lot of work on the craftland, and right now we help them to let them provide the service to the tourism. And we actually also have the camel riding in the Apricot Grove. And right now during the Apricot Flower Festival, you also can enjoy the camel riding. We help to increase local farmers' income. So during the peak season, and the peak season is around May to October, and right now we extend the peak season, right? Yes, we always want to make this momentum continuing and more attractive to let the local farmers have more resources of increasing income.
看到这个红色的这个果门上面其实有一个牌子，我看到叫新辉田园。
We're doing a lot of works to increase local farmers' livings and income. So besides the camel riding, we also provide a lot of local food.
让它感受到一种什么呢？逃离这
We create this like the best human nature harmonious coexistence theme, because Dunhuang has with rich historic meaning and stories. So we provide this really fresh and relaxed environment, let the people to chill out themselves, to really enjoy the beauty of nature.
比往年还是要多一些。它每年的这个冬冬季呢，它都是在注意人数在递增。
So here is the event of the cycling. Talking about tourism, actually we have more and more people coming from outside Gansu province to here.
1号到
We can tell like the number is increasing year after year.
我们的游客来敦煌还是享受
Any special policies to attract the tourists?
半价游览这个莫高窟、鸣沙山月牙泉、玉门关、雅丹。如果是甘肃人，咱们是
So we talk about before the April 30,
高效
you can enjoy the A9 preferential policies. that you can pay half price to enjoy the tourist season or the scenes. If you just the people from Gansu province, everything is free. And for the students from universities and primary schools, middle school, high schools, you only need to pay a very little amount or even free to enjoy all the parks, mountains, to let them know more about the history of Dunhuang City. So through all these kinds of events, we want to better educate the public. We talk about chasing the dream. Why we put here is chasing the dream along the route of apricot flower. What kind of dream we're talking about? We put under the special content. From the small range, we talk about the cycling, where people pursue a better life. So people ever growing needs for a better life. That's for their dream for individuals. And for the general dream or the bigger ones, we would like to pursue a more prosperous nation of China. We just interviewed a lot of experts from different sectors. We can tell that the Dunhuang City, as the pearl along the ancient Silk Road, we extend the tourist season starting from April, so you can witness a very beautiful apricot flower here. So this is the beginning of the beautiful season. And because the most important season is spring, everything you should first plant from the April, from the spring. So here at the Dunhuang City, you can see a very strong, harsh mountain feature, but under that you can see a very soft, beautiful, flowery scene. So with this very beautiful nature, we hope all the people here can enjoy themselves. We have the Apricot Flower Festival, and we also have different kinds of events in terms of the cultural fair here. So you can really challenge yourself to refresh yourself, to give yourself mentally and physically a time to stop, to enjoy, to embrace the nature, to come outside, to enjoy a very low carbon green life manner. So after the 2 sessions, we have already entered into the new era. So we need to nail the things done to make everything planned in the early of the year.